The last time we rode this, the Oben Rorr, we found it to be fun, fast, yet flawed. And those flaws really held us back from recommending this bike to anyone. But now, Oben claims that it has solved those issues and given it a few important updates. And it could now be the performance-oriented yet affordable electric bike that India has been waiting for. Is it though? Well, there's only one way to find out.
But hey, wait. Before we actually dive deep into the bike, let's talk about some things that Oben has changed. For starters, the motor now makes 8 kW, which is 2 kW less than before, and its range has now gone down by 30 km in each mode. The biggest dimensional changes though include an 810mm seat height, which is 20mm more than before, and the bike now weighs 147 kilos, which is a massive 17 kilos more than before.
Okay, so now some of our biggest complaints with the bike were its inconsistencies. The throttle response was inconsistent and so was the regen. And to top that off, the bike continued to surge ahead even for a second after we rolled off the throttle. But I'm glad to tell you that all of that has been solved. The throttle now feels super smooth, and even the on and off transitions, they don't feel jerky. And the moment you roll off the throttle, the regen braking kicks in nicely and it slows the bike down. And talking about the regen braking, it's not as strong as something like the TVS iQube, but it's super nice, and you will find moments where you don't really need to use the brakes, for the regen braking is enough. And talking about the brakes, they're our second biggest issue. The front was too dull, the rear was too sharp. All that has been taken care of. The front has a really nice and sharp bite to it, and so does the rear. Yeah, there is no ABS, but brakes smoothly and the bike will give you the confidence to go faster. And you will go faster because the Rorr is still just as much fun. Yeah, City and Eco are a bit too slow for me to have fun on, but Havoc is engaging. It pulls to 80 kmph really nicely, and yeah, after that it does start to taper off, but those speeds are more than enough for the city and for your occasional highway jaunts. Plus, what makes EVs so much fun is the accessibility to all the torque all the time. So when you see that little gap between two vehicles, there's no downshifting, clutch engagement, rev building, nothing of that sort. Open the throttle in Havoc mode and it'll ensure that you have all the grunt you ever need.
And while playing around in the city, if you do encounter some nice turns, the Oben Rorr is actually quite happy to carry some decent speeds around corners. The tires and suspension both do a nice job of instilling confidence among newer riders. And talking about the suspension, I found it to be decently comfortable on whatever little bad roads we encountered. That said, we will dwell more into it once we get the bike for a proper road test review. And talking a bit more about the seat height, 810mm isn't a lot in itself, but shorter riders might find themselves a bit tippy-toed initially because of the bike's slightly wide middle portion. But it's definitely nothing alarming, and shorter riders should eventually be pretty comfortable with it. And finally, about the weight. Yeah, the bike doesn't feel extremely light during sudden direction changes, but once you initiate the initial bit of movement, the bike then tips over very nicely.
Rupees 1.5 lakh is what Oben is asking for the updated Rorr. Yeah, the fit and finish levels could have been a bit better, it gets even lesser range now, and the console misses out on navigation, something that even the Hero Splendor X-Tech now gets. But at 18, 19 or 20 years of age, do you really care about that? All you want to do is hop on a bike and have fun, and this one is. I can genuinely imagine a lot of 19 or 20-year-olds hopping onto this as their first bike instead of a 125 or a 150cc and having a lot of fun. And I mean, given what petrol prices are, if you're saving a bit of fuel money while having a lot of fun, I think that's a good deal.